Hello guys, my name is Wilson Box and in this video we are talking about the endgame boss Aschetius in Season 4. So I already did some tests with this boss, some teams, different debuffs, different buffs to see which is the best way to defeat this guy and do the maximum damage, because ideally we want to reach 140 million damage, which is a lot. Alright, so we're just gonna have a look at his skills first to see how it works and to explain you guys how you should, what should you use against this guy. So first skill eats the ground twice, attacks all enemies, deals fire damage twice and knocks up. I mean, there's not a big deal here because he knocks up for 1 second, so it's not a big deal. Next one, he drops a rock to attack the enemy with the highest attack, dealing fire damage or reducing their ultimate energy by 1%. Of course, this one, if you want, you can set some timings just to prevent having your ultimate being reduced by 100%. And after dealing damage, if the enemy HP is lower than 30%, deals fire damage to other enemies, okay? So this one, if you want, you can set some timings just to prevent having your ultimate energy bar reduced by 100%. Next one, it deals fire damage to all enemies and steals one buff from each of them. Okay, so for this one, and let's just go to the timings because it's easier. So for this one, you want to cast your buffs after 18 seconds, depending which buffs you have. For example, if it's debuff immunity, it's not a big deal if he steals you debuff immunity or something like that. But if you are using damage reduction, defense up, or attack up, or something like that, you don't want this guy to get those type of buffs, because if he gets debuff, if he gets defense or attack up, it's going to do more damage, it's going to take less damage. So you really want to set your timings after 18 seconds and cycling every 30 seconds, okay? Next one, we have this one. This one deals damage to all enemies 3 times, each time dealing fire damage, and inflicts a debuff on them, okay? So for this one, if you want, because some of these debuffs are really annoying, like the recharge speed penalty and attack penalty, you can have a hero with debuff immunity just to prevent any of these debuffs. I already did some tests and this really makes a huge impact on your damage. Lastly, we have this one, deals fire damage to all enemies if they possess debuffs. Additional deals fire damage to them once, okay? So if you have any debuffs, so your heroes will take more damage. So this is another reason why it will be important to have some debuff immunity or dispelling ability just to clear all debuffs and prevent this extra damage. And each additional damage has 1% chance to remove one debuff from the monster itself. So this is the main skills of the boss, but we are still missing one of them. So I'm just going back here and have a look. So the other one we have, which is like the passive, is this one. So after each skill casting, the monster gains frenzy in an amount equal to the number of debuffs inflicted on himself. So basically you want to have at least 2 debuffs on this guy all the time, okay? Each stack of frenzy enables the monster to ignore 0.6% of the enemy's defense. So we can prevent these full stacks 150. We can't. The only thing we can impact on this boss is the amount of time it takes to get until 150 stacks. Okay, so the way to do it is to have at least 2 debuffs on him all the time, because if he doesn't have any debuff, he gets 4 stacks for each skill. But if he has at least 2 debuffs or more, he only gets 2 stacks, okay? If he's only getting 2 stacks, it's gonna take longer to reach 150 and he will do less damage. So every time he casts one of these skills, he gets stacks. So if he has 2 debuffs at least, he gets 2 stacks, 2 stacks, 2 stacks, 8, 10 stacks, okay? 10 stacks each interval. But if he doesn't have any debuffs, he is getting 4 stacks. So will be 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, okay? It's the double, alright? It's 2 times more stacks, and we don't want that, so it's really important to use heroes that can inflict a lot of debuffs all the time. That's really important, helps a lot to reduce the damage. So I have some tips, and this is one of the budget teams I was able to do. So as you guys can see, I have 2 epics, 3, 4 epics and 1 legendary Aladi that you can get from the event. This team is not doing a big amount of damage. I think this boss is really hard to do a lot of damage, but there are some tips I can advise you guys. So one of the ways to have 2 debuffs all the time is using the 2 defense penalty strategy, okay? If you want, imagine I have defense penalty on this guy, so if I could set 12 and then 19 or 20, it's up to you, and then imagine if this guy adds the defense penalty as well, I could set like 22 and cycling 19 as well, and this way I will have defense penalty 1 or 2 all the time on this boss. Okay, so this way at least you have 1 debuff all the time, and with 1 debuff he gets 3 stacks, so ideally you still want 2 debuffs. So I manage to have that on this guy with this team, because I already have a lot of ways to do some debuffs. So I have buff prohibition, I have defense penalty, and I have a lot of attack penalty from Aladia. Aladia is really good for this boss. She gives shield, she can prevent the knock-up with the control immunity, and she can apply attack penalty all the time, okay? So let's start from the beginning. Buffs, if you ever need strong buffs, so one example of strong buffs, it's Calavera. She gives defense up. You don't want to give defense up to this boss. So if you are using Calavera, you want to set the timings to 18 seconds, okay? Or in this case 20.5, because this way if you are cast at 20, it means you're gonna prevent this damage and reduce this damage as well. So ideally you want something like this if you have strong debuffs like defense up, attack up, or something like that. Then you want to have debuffs always on 2 times debuffs, okay? So if you have 2 debuffs at least all the time on the boss, it means he is getting less stacks, and this way he's gonna do less damage. Then you want to have a dispeller. You can have a dispeller, will be good as well, to dispel his buffs, okay? When he steals those buffs, you can dispel them. So in this case I have Voresh. When he gets some buffs, I can dispel those buffs or give buff prohibition. I tried giving him a timing or to cast a buff prohibition before he steals those buffs, but was not working well. I was doing less damage, but still I have the battle skill that can dispel those debuffs. Then the buff prohibition. For this one you don't really need a tank as well, so it does not make a big difference. I mean, it doesn't make any difference because this boss only does area damage, okay? It doesn't do any single target damage, so it doesn't matter. You don't really need a tank to this boss. Then the time to debuff immunity, having a debuff immunity, it's really good, really worth it for this guy. As you guys can see on these timings, I have 23.5 and 30 seconds, okay? So I'm casting the debuff immunity on this one, and this way I'm gonna prevent this debuff. This makes a huge impact because besides you preventing any of these debuffs, you also preventing this additional fire damage on you, okay? So this will be really important. So basically this was the team I created for now. I'm using the full affinity for this team, and I think it works pretty well, but still I'm lacking some healing and some more stuff. But I will have attack penalty from the passive, as you guys can see, will be good. You can use this serial set with Aladia as well, works really well because she has this 20% chance of ability attack penalty on the attacker for 10 seconds, and this way she will activate attack penalty a lot, really a lot, guys. You really want to have 300 accuracy, so at least 320 accuracy, and you guys can see I have 262, but don't forget we have some accuracy from these elemental affinities. As you guys can see, I have 50 from the elemental affinity, which will help. Okay, so this accuracy doesn't show up here. Okay, this is the accuracy just from the items, so it means I will have 50 extra, so 362, 312 I mean, and that's it. And I have Voresh. Voresh has more than 300, which is good. So I'm just gonna play this one so you guys can see. I'm not gonna do big damage. Last time I tried this I was doing 20 something million, which is nothing, but I really think this boss is really hard. You really need to do a lot of damage. Also, I don't have a healer for this team, so if I was using a healer will be good. But so you guys can see, I have 3 debuffs on him, 3 debuffs, 3 debuffs. Now I don't have any buff. Okay, 22. You guys can see the difference it makes. So if I have a buff, if I have some debuffs, he gets 2 stacks. If I don't have any debuffs, he gets 4 stacks. We don't really want that. We want to apply as much debuffs. We don't need much debuffs, but at least 2 debuffs all the time. We want to apply debuffs all the time on this guy to prevent these stacks. Otherwise, he will get faster to 150 stacks, and this way it's going to do more damage and will be harder to our team to deal with that damage. We have like 10 minutes to do a lot of damage, so I'm now at 3 minutes without the healer, guys. So as the more the buffs, more stacks he gets, the stronger he is. So I'm surviving. We'll see how much we survive with this team. We survived 5 minutes 16. We did 25 million damage, which is not great. Of course, we want to do more because we have 6 teams, so we really want to do like 30 million. Yeah, 30 million will be good. Will be more than 140 million total damage. So we really want to have 25 will be alright, right? Because if you do 25 million damage with 6 teams, it means you are getting 150 million. Okay, so 25 million is not bad. You can reach, because you really want to reach this value, okay, at least just to get the maximum rewards. Of course, the more you do, the higher rank you will get comparing with the other players. So that will be really important. But of course, without Rook or Flora or those big exclusives, you're gonna feel a big difference on your damage. Like with the Rook, you can reach 200 million damage. With this team, you will never reach 50 or 100 million damage. It's really hard with this boss. It doesn't matter what strategy you're using, this boss is really hard, and you need a big damage healer to reach a big amount of damage. Alright guys, so this is my advices and my tips. I've not created my teams for this boss. As soon as I create them, I will bring it to my channel, but for now, this is the tips I have for you guys, the advices, and how you should build your team to defeat this boss, okay, to do a good amount of damage. This is a free-to-play team, or budget team, because I'm using Eladia, so this is one of the teams you can use to do some damage, in this case 25 million. I can have a look at the gear. I did not show. I have a serial set, which is remain on this guy. Carnage, as always, it's really good. I have Gladrus with the Chest of Radiance. This Chest of Radiance is really good. Try to get him from the Mender or Power of Trill, but try to get him this as soon as possible. It's really strong. Attack percentage, we have the Gertin with Ravatrix, the Echo of War, some crit rate. Same thing here, we have the Downpipe, the Echo of War and crit rate with Carnage, and then we have just these 2 sets because it gives me more skill haste and some enlightenment, and also accuracy. You need to split your stats between enlightenment and accuracy, because with enlightenment you will increase your shields, with accuracy will increase your chance to inflict attack penalty, which will help a lot to reduce the damage from this boss and also reduce the amount of stacks. Alright guys, I hope this video helps you to build your team and know what you should use. This boss is really tricky, and as soon as I can, I will bring my 6 teams to defeat this boss and reach at least 40 million damage. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, don't forget, leave that like and subscribe. See ya next time.